Mike McCarthy said it at the beginning of the season. Don't talk about the playoffs until the Dallas Cowboys reach their 10th win. Well, they have hit that 10-win plateau. They are into double figures thanks to 3 straight wins, all of which on the road. Welcome into Special Edition alongside Isaiah Stainback, Perry Church, Nate Newton. I'm Kyle Yeomans, and I just said it. 3 straight road wins. It's something that the Cowboys haven't done in consecutive weeks in the history of the franchise. So I ask you a question that should be pretty easy for you three. How hard is that to do in the NFL, especially this day and age?
It's very difficult, especially when you're playing against your divisional foes, simply because every game is important. Every game is heightened, and every game has that level of importance. If you lose one of those games, it drastically changes your opportunities for the next phase in terms of the playoffs. So it's very difficult to go out and go on this last little stretch, but it's something that you got to do.
Yeah, it's something that you got to do, and I think it's extremely difficult. I don't care if it's divisional, non-divisional. 3 straight wins in the National Football League is an extremely hard thing to do, especially late in the season, especially when you talk about December. So when you come to December, I'll take a win no matter what the situation is.
You know, it's just nice that they're there. I've been on both ends, 3 straight road losses, 3 straight road wins, man. And I'm telling you, it's physically punishing, you know, and mentally punishing. So for these guys to be sitting where they're sitting at the 2 seed, it's a great thing right now.
And arguably the biggest reason for those wins has been the play of the Cowboys defense, a unit that had so many question marks around it entering the 2021 campaign. They've forced 4 takeaways in each of those 3 games. And Isaiah, are we seeing the ceiling of this Cowboys defense at the moment?
I hope it's not the ceiling. I would love for these guys to be able to push that ceiling up and continue to elevate their game. These guys are doing something that's absolutely amazing, and I think that it's unprecedented. But it's something that we love to see, and we want to continue to motivate these guys in the form of Dan Quinn, for putting them in position to be successful for their one-on-one matchups. That's what's really becoming an advantage for these guys in that front 7.
Yeah, this defense is playing outstanding right now, and I think the secondary is benefiting from an elite pass rush right now. And Kyle, like you said, this team is taking the football away at an alarming rate. But my only question is it sustainable? Can this defense lead this team to a long playoff run? I'm not so sure about that, but I guess we'll find out and see.
You know, it is sustainable. I mean, not the 4 per game that rate there, but, you know, 1 or 2 a game and getting off the field, 3, getting off the field at the proper time on 3rd down, that's the biggest key.
And they've really improved upon those marks each of the last couple of weeks. More specifically, against the New York Giants, they definitely found a way to turn the football over. There you see DeMarcus Lawrence punching out from Saquon Barkley. As for the offense, still trying to find their footing a little bit in the latter parts of the season. Isaiah, you're an offensive guy, former quarterback. Do you see this offense finding their footing late in the year?
I believe so, and I think we started to see a little bit of that, especially with the change with Connor Williams. Now you saw the running game start to come along. Dak had a little bit more protection last week, still gave him too many sacks. We have to get the ball out of his hand, but I believe that they're starting to build their confidence, and we're going to start to see that really start to transparent on the field.
Yeah, I think this offense is still trying to find its stride, still trying to find its identity. They were better on 3rd down last week. They went 8 of 14, but I think for this team to truly turn the corner and truly get back on track, they need to, 1, be better in the red zone, and 2, they need to cut down on these late game turnovers.
And Tyron Smith, maybe not this week, but the following week, getting back in there, solidifying this offensive line even more so we can not have these late leakages that has been happening to Dak, and he get the ball out of his hands. And please, CeeDee Lamb, don't drop the ball.
He had 3 drops in the game, and Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb both taking at least ownership of the fact that they didn't have their best performances against the New York Giants. But the good thing is they've got 3 more games to get it right, and we'll talk more about that moving on here in Special Edition. But when we come back, is Connor Williams the X factor on the Cowboys offensive line?
Special Edition, presented by AT&T, is brought to you by Ford, built for Texas, built for you. Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Salvation Army, doing the most good. And by AT&T. This segment is brought to you by the Texas Lottery. Play the new Gym 7 scratch tickets. There's a Gym 7 scratch ticket for everyone, so play today.
I think it was a really good opportunity. Get a full week of practice. Connor Williams get back in there at left guard. I thought, you know, what McGovern brings to the backfield is really special, and he does a great job. And so I think we're in a really good place.
Kellen Moore's offense still trying to find a rhythm over the last 6 weeks. Well, they took a big step forward against the New York Giants with a switch on the offensive line. Connor Williams back starting at left guard, and he's anticipated to be there at least this week. Again, the Washington football team back with Isaiah Stanback. And Isaiah, this is a switch that we saw coming just based solely on the fact of how Connor McGovern played at the left guard spot previously.
Yeah, early on in the season, Connor Williams was the man, right? He started off the year, he was the lo and behold starter at the left guard position. But then he got into some issues with some holding, right? We love the fact that he's aggressive. We love the fact that he's physical, but sometimes he just held on a little bit too long. So they made the switch to Connor McGovern. All right, when they made the switch to Connor McGovern, they gave him every opportunity to take that position. But then he started encountering some issues, and those issues that he have compounds into other issues that affect guys like Dak Prescott. So let's take a look here against the Washington football team. A couple weeks ago, we're about to face them again. All right, so Washington football team here. I want you guys to keep your eyes right here on Connor McGovern. Right here, they're going to have a play action pass. So you're going to have Clement coming across the front right here. Dak's going to fake the ball. All the linemen are having down blocks. So this makes it really easy for guys to have leverage, okay? You're going to see Tyler Biadasz do a great job of posting with his left hand right here, keeping his hand on the defensive tackle, waiting for Connor McGovern to come and take over the play. Let's see if he does a good job with it or if he oversets on it. As you see, the ball snapped. Got the play action coming here. Again, Connor McGovern comes across and he does a little bit too much. He gets too high on the man. He gets thrown by. And now all of a sudden we have an issue with a defensive tackle coming into the face of Dak Prescott. Look at the eyes right here. He's locked and loaded on Dak, which now forces Dak out the pocket where we know he's not that confident right now. Now he's going to have an inerrant throw where he's now trying to make an amazing play, throwing back across his body, back over here to Gallup. It's a high pass. It's a tip ball. And in the league, we like to say tips and overthrows, got to get those. We do not need those kind of plays compounding and turning into turnovers for this offense.
It was a near interception, and now you take a look at the other side of things. And a similar look for Connor Williams against the New York Giants, but he stood strong on his assignment.
Hey, Connor Williams comes back, all right? He said, hey, this is my opportunity. I'm physical. I'm strong. I just can't hold too long. So I have opportunity to go against the best defensive lineman that the New York Giants can present, and that comes in the form of Leonard Williams. He's big, he's strong, he's physical, and he's aggressive. But look how this guy Connor Williams handles him. We're going to go ahead and snap the ball right here. We have a pass set. He's nice and aggressive with his hands. You guys see right there, he does a great job of shocking. And now you're going to see Leonard Williams going to try to switch him over and throw his body over to the other side. All right, he does a great job with this post leg. All right, Connor Williams does a great job posting here. Again, he shifts weight, tries to throw him by again. Again, keep your eye on this post leg. He does a great job right here setting the weight and not allowing Leonard Williams to throw him by, giving Dak time to get look down the field. He makes an amazing pass. Again, going back to Gallup. This time, Gallup grabs it. Amazing play, first down, Cowboys. That type of protection is going to allow Dak the time and the confidence to sit in the pocket and make delivery throws like this.
And it's also going to allow for the run game to get going as well.
Absolutely. Again, we're coming back to Mr. Connor Bro, Mr. Williams himself. And again, he's back on the most dominant defensive lineman for the New York Giants, Leonard Williams. Look how dominant of a job he does here, being able to seal things off on this side. You see right here, we got good old Zach Martin coming up to the second level. We're coming here, wall that off. Connor Williams does a great job of setting the edge right here and throwing him by, creating a nice lane for this man right here that we need to get going, Ezekiel Elliott. Perfect lane right here, touchdown. This is the type of plays that we need in the red zone. Connor Williams is enabling us to be able to have these plays.
And it really provided an offensive jolt, a confidence boost for that offense with that 13-yard touchdown run against the Giants. We'll see how much that confidence moves into Week 16. How far can Dak Prescott lead the Cowboys up the NFC East standings when we return?
This segment was brought to you by the Texas Lottery. This segment is brought to you by Ford. Built for Texas, built for you.
The Dallas Cowboys sit at 10-4. They are currently the number 2 seed in the NFC, up on top of the NFC East division. Back with Isaiah Stanback, Barry Church, Nate Newton. And let's break down the scenarios that this Dallas Cowboys team can see as you take a look at the NFC standings. Green Bay still up on top, 1 game ahead of both the Dallas Cowboys, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Oh, and the Arizona Cardinals and Los Angeles Rams are there as well. But those two teams, we've got something special on them coming up here in just a couple of moments. But let's go to the remaining schedule for the Dallas Cowboys. Here's their final 3 games, the Washington football team this week. Then there's that Arizona team we just mentioned at 10-4, and then they conclude on the road at Lincoln Financial Field up in Philadelphia. So, gentlemen, I ask you, how easy is it for the Cowboys to win out in a schedule like this?
I wouldn't say that it's easy, but I think we have one of the easier routes in comparison to some of the other guys that we're looking at the top of the NFC. I believe that we'll be able to handle most of these teams handily. Washington should not be a problem. We've already taken care of them. Arizona is hobbled right now. They're missing their number one dynamic weapon with B-Hop. And Philly's always going to be a tough game, especially when it's the last game of the season.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. They say that we have the 10th toughest schedule ahead of this, but I don't believe so. I think the only hurdle we have left is this Arizona Cardinals. And like you mentioned, Isaiah, they're without their arguably best player, DeAndre Hopkins, and a defense that over the past 2 games has given up 60 points and 6 passing touchdowns. I know Kyler Murray's a beast, but I don't think he can outrun this front seven for the entire game. I got the Cowboys winning out, and hopefully we get that 2 seed.
You know, Washington's going to be a problem because they're going to get Montez Sweat back. But if you can handle that right there at the left tackle, maybe it's Steele. I don't think that Tyron will be back, so we'll be dealing with Steele over there. That'll be a big challenge for him. So once we get past Washington, man, they'll be hyped for the Cardinals team. And then you know what? Philadelphia like to fly, but Hurts still, you ain't a ride.
And also, not to mention, the Cowboys currently have an 8-1 record in the NFC. It's the best conference record in all of football. And if they were to win out, they would have an 11-1 record. So that's the second tiebreaker after head-to-head. So let's see how that tiebreaker can come into play. Here's the remaining schedule for the Green Bay Packers and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Green Bay needs to lose 1 game out of those 3 against the Browns, the Vikings, or the Lions to even have a shot for the Cowboys to be that 1 seed and get the bye. If that's the case, then they need Tampa Bay to either lose 1 more as well to be either the number 2 seed or the number 1 seed. So which of these 2 teams, Nate Newton, is more likely to lose?
You know what? I don't want to see Aaron Rodgers. I know the GOAT is Brady. I don't want to see Aaron Rodgers. So whatever way it can get us going back at the that pretty boy right there, I'm good.
And to me, I'm the exact opposite. All right, I don't want to see Tom Brady at all in these playoffs. I mean, it seems like when this guy gets going, it's in the playoffs, it's in the latter part of the season. I don't want to go to Tampa Bay. That team is looking hype right now, even though they have a couple injuries. That team is dangerous to me. So I think Green Bay is more likely to take the L, and hopefully it's against Cleveland this upcoming week.
I'm going to jump out the cake. I believe that Dallas has a great opportunity to take the number 1 seed. Ooh. And that's mainly because of the fact that Green Bay has 2 tough games remaining on their schedule. When you look at Tampa Bay's schedule, those guys they're hobbled right now. They're hurt. But them losing really doesn't do anything for us in terms of getting that number 1 seed. I believe Green Bay drops at least 1 of those 3 games.
So if Tampa Bay wins out, the Cowboys win out, and then Green Bay loses 1, the Dallas Cowboys would be the number 1 seed because of the 3-way tiebreaker at what would be 4 losses for all 3 of those teams. The Cowboys would have an 11-1 mark inside the NFC. Now, let's talk about that NFC West a little bit as well. This has become quite the interesting division because the Cardinals have lost 4 of their last 7 after starting 7-0. Who do you see coming out on top in this one, Barry?
This is a tough one, man. Both of these guys have tough remaining schedules, in my opinion, but I got to go with the Rams coming out on top on this one. They got the momentum on their side. They're winners of 3 of the, 3 games straight now. And to me, they're getting a couple guys back from COVID. They're getting a couple guys back from injury. So I got to lean towards the Rams on this one. Plus the Cowboys play Arizona. I think they'll get a dub there. So I'm going with the Rams.
But ain't Baltimore is on the Rams deal? Yeah, that ain't happening, bro.
You don't think they
No, because I'm telling you, Lamar is going to be coming back. He's going to be feisty. Their defense is trying to prove that they still the identity of the team. Look out, boy. We finna play them Cardinals and do what we got to do.
But what if Lamar doesn't come back?
It still don't matter, man. He still got the defense, man. I'm telling you.
No?
I'm telling you now.
Tyler Huntley played really well against the Green Bay Packers.
Huntley's a beast, and I believe that both of these teams are only going to win 2 out of their 3 remaining games. So I'm not sure where that puts them at, but yeah.
It would be below the Dallas Cowboys. That's where they would.
That's all that matters.
So that's what matters here on this show on Special Edition. There's a look at the NFC playoff picture. But what about that Washington football team that Nate talked about? How much of a threat do they bring here in Week 16?
This segment was brought to you by Ford. Built for Texas, built for you. This segment is brought to you by AT&T.
The Dallas Cowboys took down the Washington football team just 2 weeks ago, 27-20 at FedEx Field. However, it's a very much different Washington football team than they saw just 14 days prior. Over 24 COVID cases and players and or coaches placed on the COVID reserve list. It pushed their game back in Week 15 against the Philadelphia Eagles to Tuesday, so the Washington football team coming off of a short week. So let's talk about that offense. Taylor Heinicke and company really struggled to get off the ground against the Cowboys back in Week 14. Do you expect them to bounce back this week?
I think they're going to do everything they can to bounce back. Obviously, they know that they can mess up the Cowboys season by winning this ball game, and especially the way that these guys have Gibson, they have McKissick, they have all their weapons there at their disposal. They're not missing anybody, except for a couple guys on the offensive line. They're struggling there.
Yeah, I respect Taylor Heinicke's game, and I think he gives 100% snap in and snap out every time he's on the football field. But with how bad that offensive line looked on Tuesday, I just can't see him having time to go back there and make plays. I can see what happened 2 weeks ago against this Dallas Cowboys defense, and this Dallas defense can have a field day coming up on Sunday.
It's all about Gibson and McKissick is his name. It's all about those two guys. Getting the ball into their hands, letting them make plays, and then maybe if they can get that going, maybe they can get a play-action game going. But this kid alone is not enough.
Here is Antonio Gibson, just like you mentioned, and he's going to provide a run game element. There's some weapons to that Washington football team overall, but do you expect them to bottle up guys like Antonio Gibson and J.D. McKissick the way that they did back in Week 14?
I'm not sure if they'll be that successful. I believe that, it really is depicted on our offense. If we're able to get up early on these guys, they're going to have to abandon their game plan that is primarily revolves around those guys.
Yeah, to me, I think they'll bottle them up once again. To me, it all comes back to how bad their offensive line looks, and I think Dallas's front seven will make things extremely hard for Antonio Gibson to get rolling, and with the pressure that these guys can provide, D-Law, Parsons, Randy Gregory, I think they'll get after Taylor Heinicke out there, and it'll be hard for him to push the ball down the field to scary Terry McLaurin.
I'm with Isaiah, boy. If we get up, man, the run game over. And Heinicke is not going to be enough. I repeat that over and over. Heinicke is not enough.
The way that the Cowboys defense really shut down Washington back in Week 14, it may be unrealistic to expect that again, but if they can keep it through all 4 quarters, there's a possibility there. All right, guys, really quickly, Montez Sweat, he will be back on the defensive line for the Washington football team. How much does he add, Nate Newton, that Washington didn't have back in Week 14?
He is nice. I mean, he was a first-round pick. I think they moved back up to get him. This dude has been a consistent player, and he's been doing this thing. It's going to be a battle between him and Steele. That's going to be sweet.
Ooh, it is going to be sweet. This guy, Montez Sweat, is a beast coming off the edge. He has the speed. He has the power out there. So he can make things hard for Dak Prescott and this offense. What Kellen Moore and his coaching staff is going to have to do is they're going to have to make sure they know where number 90 is at all times, because he can be a game wrecker.
He can be, and also Jonathan Allen up front as well. I mean, both of those guys are going to have their way, and they'll have their fair share of production throughout the game as well. But when we come back, Nate Newton's going to tell you how the Cowboys can get win number 11 on the season. Can Coach McCarthy do that again?
This segment was brought to you by AT&T. Special edition presented by AT&T was brought to you by Ford. Built for Texas, built for you. Miller Lite, the only beer of the Dallas Cowboys. AT&T. And by NFL Game Pass. You'll never miss a game again. Enjoy full and condensed game replays from Week 1 to the Super Bowl. Subscribe at DallasCowboys.com/Game Pass.
It has been since 1998 where the Dallas Cowboys swept the NFC East. They are 2/3 of the way there at a 4-0 record as we wrap things up here on Special Edition. Isaiah Steinbeck, Barry Church, Nate Newton. Barry, key to the game for Cowboys getting their 5th win against the division.
Well, my key to the game is continue to make life hard for Taylor Heinicke out there. I mean, 2 weeks ago when we did it, the defensive line did an amazing job of putting pressure on this guy. He was running for his life the entire game. It resulted in, I think, 3 to 4 takeaways, if I'm not mistaken. Keep that pressure on him going, make his life hard back there, and walk away with a W.
It's real simple. Get Dak's swag back.
Ooh, I like that. Okay. Get the swag back.
Whoa, it's on me?
It's Nate's time, yeah.
It's all about the offensive line being consistent and doing what they need to do. And I tell you what, if we do get Dak's swag back, everything will work perfect. And once again, our receivers have to be consistent and our tight end have to keep making the plays he made last week.
And we need the awareness of our offensive line to be a little bit better than Nate Newton when he gets a question thrown his direction to wrap things up here on Special Edition.
Sorry.
Thanks for joining us this week. The Cowboys and the Washington football team. Sunday night football in Week 16.